You know what I really miss? Those lollipops that were like apple with real caramel on it. God, those were good. I used to be able to steal them from the kids on Halloween. Wonder what that says about me as a person. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please think about sticking around, liking, commenting, and subscribing. For everybody else, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this journey with me. I appreciate every single one of you guys. This is great. I'm getting more subscribers every day, and please continue to tell me about who you want read and some of the subjects that you'd like me to cover. Like I said before in previous videos, I try to do them when I can. I don't always hear from the spirit that you want, but hey, we can try. Keep those suggestions coming. I really love them. I will be picking up on the Ramsey case a little bit later, but today I'm going to do something a little different. Well, not really different, but this is a particular case that my mother would have really enjoyed. When I filmed this is Mother's Day 2021, and my mother is no longer with us, but she loved the Kennedys, and she used to tell me about how Ted Kennedy screwed up everything and how he killed a woman. So this is what we're going to talk about today is the case of Ted Kennedy and Mary J. Oh, Kaplish. There's a lot of words here that I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing. But before I get into it, I want to quickly remind everybody, if you have not liked, commented, subscribed, or shared yet, please do so. Not only for myself, but anybody else that you're supporting. Your local businesses, your friends, your direct sales groups, anybody. Like, comment, share, subscribe. These are free things that you can do to help us all out. So please spread the love, do that. It's very easy and very free. So please do that. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Ted Kennedy and Mary Jo. Um, so this was a horrific accident that happened on July 18th, 1969. So Ted Kennedy was in a car with Mary Jo on the night of July 18th around 11:15. While he was driving Mary Jo back to her hotel where she was staying. Apparently they were at a party previously, and this was party was for very specific people that they called the Boiler Room Girls. Now, Mary Jo was part of the Boiler Room Girls, which were females that had been working on several of the Kennedy campaigns. Um, Mary Jo had been there since JFK and had worked through his assassination and on and on and on. If you guys don't know anything about the Kennedy family, they're they're American royalty basically, and several of the brothers ran for president, including the oldest brother that was supposed to passed away, Joe Jr. But then it went to John. John was assassinated, and Robert was assassinated, and then Ted was going to make his claim in the 80s to run for president. However, this case came to light and damaged any ability for him to be president, but it did not take away his ability to be senator of the Massachusetts area. So while he was driving home in this place, they were going to a small town called Chattaquiddick. I will put that out here. Y'all can see that. Off of Martha's Vineyard. And they were on a bridge called Dike, Dike Bridge in Chattapickwick, and drove off the bridge and plunged into freezing, cold, murky water. Now, somehow, Ted Kennedy was able to escape, and this is where everything goes fuzzy because Mary Jo did not make it out of this alive. The official story is that after the initial accident, Ted himself was basically fried. You know, he was confused, he was scared, he was hurting, and his survival instincts, the flight or fight or freeze response, kicked in and he ran. He got himself out of the situation. However, he did say that he tried to look around for Mary Jo in the water, but he couldn't see her. It was too dark, it was too cold, it was too murky. So instead of going to the police, he goes back into town and grabs his cousin and his aide. So his cousin was Joseph Gordon, and his friend was Paul Markham. So between the three of them, supposedly, they took several turns and a unknown amount of time diving and trying to find Mary Jo. And I don't know if they thought that she had been ejected from the car or what exactly happened. Um, I don't believe that Ted was ejected from the car. I believe he had to get out. But whatever the case was, Mary Jo was left in the water. She might have died on impact, she might have not. Instead of filing a police report or doing anything, going to the hospital, anything, Ted was taken back to his hotel. And 9 hours later, Mary Jo's body was found by someone else. And again, they didn't make the report. So this was quietly swept under the rug and didn't come out until the 80s. And I believe it was when Ted Kennedy was running against Jimmy Carter or somebody opened this can of worms, and again it stopped him from ever becoming president. So the question is, what the hell happened? So Ted Kennedy was 37 years old. Mary Jo was 27. And of course, we know, most of us know, that the Kennedy family is famous for their womanizing. Uh, it's been very well documented that none of these Kennedy boys were faithful to their wives, and they were very questionable with their morals and their values as far as what you would call traditional. They definitely cheated on their wives and did some very nefarious things that weren't just questionable, it was very public and people knew about it. So, scandalous. Scandal definitely follows the Kennedys, and they still do to this day. In fact, people believe that there's a Kennedy curse. Maybe I'll do a video about that one day. But right now we're just talking about Edward, if you guys didn't know. So, the questions, of course, what the hell happened? Was Ted Kennedy drunk? He was a known alcoholic. Did he swerve to hit something? Did he swerve to miss something like an animal? Was it cold and there may have been ice? Uh, were they fighting? Was she hitting him? Was he hitting her? Was there a third person in the vehicle? Because there have been people who have speculated that there was more than one person besides Ted and Mary Jo in the vehicle. What happened? And nobody knows. Nobody will ever know what happened. What I can say is Ted Kennedy was very remorseful about this whole situation, and he did not like Mary Jo ever to be connected with him as a lover. In fact, one of his final statements in this world was that Mary Jo, her loss was huge. His presidential loss and his aspirations were huge, but the loss and the impact of Mary Jo was so much bigger and harder, and she was better than to ever be associated with Ted Kennedy as a lover. That wasn't the case, and she deserved so much better than him. I still don't know if I believe they were, not lovers or not, but at the end of the day, this woman died. Of course, my mom believed that Kennedy killed her and shut her up for some reason. And of course, there's so many conspiracies that happen with the Kennedys. It's something that you can probably think of. So we're gonna do a couple cards here because I don't really know. I don't really know what happened. So let's take a look. So, did Ted Kennedy accidentally, we're going to start with that, kill Mary Jo? So, I've got the King of Pentacles. So, we're going to focus directly on Ted Kennedy himself, which is very much a leadership person with a lot of money. A lot of money, a lot of clout, a lot of pull. Like, he had more pull than pretty much anybody. The Lover's card. I I did question if they were lovers or not. To me, this means that their relationship was intimate. It could mean that they were never physical, but they had a very intimate knowledge of one another. This could just be a bond that they shared due to the fact that Mary Jo had been on staff for an incredibly long time, or the fact that they were physically lovers. Um, he definitely took her as a confidant. The Hermit. I do believe he looked for her. This tells me that he did look for her, and he kept himself away from the situation because of how bad it was going to be. I do believe he did honestly look for her. Page of Swords, a young man who is vigilant and is fighting and has his discretion. I don't think this represents Ted. I think represents this represents hiding the youngest, the younger. Um, there's another Kennedy, and I think Ted was the youngest male Kennedy boy, but in the family, but there were other Kennedys, obviously. This was a protection for the youngest boy. Another Kennedy that wasn't the brothers. It wasn't this is protection here. Somebody else was being protected. This was a disguise. This whole situation, as stressful as it was a disguise. I think Ted took some of the rat for that something happened where Ted took the rat for it. It could very well be this accident. Um, the Eight of Cups tells me that he was walking away from the water, and it was late, early, so makes sense with the sun, the shallow waters, the cups. Oh, there really isn't a clear answer here because there's a lot of things that went into this. The Four of Cups tells me hopes and possibilities that never came true. This was the future. These were gifts. These are things that were refused out of guilt because of this situation. I don't th- I'm really thinking this was an accident. I really do think, looking at this was an accident. Um the Empress who the Empress is Mary Jo. Very powerful, very smart woman, very young, but she definitely had her hand on the pulse of the Kennedys. I think she would have worked very closely with Ted Kennedy if he became president. Um, she probably would have worked with Robert too if he ever became president. I see three. So this very well could be two things. It could be there was actually three people there, but I think this is the scene after the accident with the other two. I think that's Ted in the background there crying, very upset, that looking towards the water, while another person here is, trying to ask him to come over. The person in the foreground is cleaning up the mess. So there definitely was somebody there. There was definitely a cover up. This, as far as, they knew she was dead before the end of this whole thing. I just think they couldn't get to her, and the guy who was there to clean up, um, I think he told Ted he was going to fix it. He was going to make things better. I think actually he was supposed to report it, and he didn't. Obviously there was a death as a direct result of this. This is the Four of Swords, which tells me instant regret, but also fear for his immortal soul. He was Catholic, and he really believed that murder was going to take his soul. Even, but I really think it was an accident. I don't think he set off to do this. In the corner, you see the people here in the background. I'm taking this as forgiveness, as communion, as confession. I think Ted Kennedy really, really was haunted by this accident. And I really think it caused his whole life to go into a tailspin. Now, this is the Wheel of Fortune, which tells me this was supposed to happen. This was something that was unavoidable and something that stopped the clock. Ted Kennedy was not supposed to be president. Um, the Kennedys were um, losing their grip on their power, and somebody needed to kind of fall and be the scapegoat for a lot of the family's sins, and that was Ted. And he, even though this was an accident, he ended up paying for a lot of the mishaps and the misfortunes and the things that his family did do that were illegal and terrible and, borderline questionable. He actually ended up paying for a lot of those sins because of this accident. And he took on a lot of public pressure, and he took on a lot of scrutiny, and really did lose the presidency because of this. And this was like almost like a bargaining chip with the universe, but he didn't bargain. Somebody else bargained on his behalf. So this was an accident, and this was something that was used in order to bring balance and restore balance back to the Kennedy family. Um, somebody, uh, this doesn't tell me a gender. Somebody, I think there was several people, somebody's involved that kind of made this happen years before. This was, like I said, this probably was more of an accident that was actually a sacrifice to even the playing field, but this was done generations ago. This was done prior to, Ted being a little kid. This is something that happened a very long time ago to appease for other sins that the family has done. Oof. Um, Mary Jo is just kind of caught. This is definitely sorrow and mournful, and you can see there's a bridge in the background. There's water here. This is very apropos of what the situation was. This is definitely Ted standing here with complete sorrow and complete loss, and he knocked over some of these opportunities himself. He thought he owed he made missteps. He made mistakes in this situation, but he didn't cause the accident to happen. It was an accident. He didn't kill Mary Jo. It was an accident. And he was used, but I tell you, he thought about this every single moment for the rest of his life. In fact, when he crossed out of this world and went into the next, he crossed back into the accident and was there with Mary Jo to live out what she lived out. I'm hearing 14 minutes. I don't know what that means. I don't know if she was in there for 14 minutes. I don't know if she survived in 14 minutes. I don't know if the whole accident from beginning to end to death took 14 minutes. But he was taken back to that moment, and he wanted to be in that moment because he wanted to make amends for it. And I do feel like that part of his soul was amended. That was a huge, huge mistake. He's okay now on the other side, but so is Mary Jo. I can tell you they have nothing to do with one another, but their life on the other side is fine. Um, I really do feel like this whole accident was a setup, almost like a sacrifice, and Ted being a scapegoat for generations of sinning and terrible things that his family did. And Mary Jo actually was a very kind, good person and smart and hardworking. And I think that's why the things happened the way that they did. And I do think that they were very closely connected. The cards say lovers, and they very well could be, but at very least, they were very connected intimately. And of course, they were connected in death because she died at the hands of an accident that he caused. Um, and he was driving. So he took way more blame than what people realized. A lot of the reason he was an alcoholic was because he saw her in his mirror. He saw her in reflections. He saw her. She wasn't haunting him. She had moved on, but the image of her was very haunting, and the memory of her was very haunting. So what I'm concluding here is this was again, it was a terrible accident. And I do think there was another person involved, but I don't know how. I feel like there was a third person there. I don't know if they were there on the scene. I don't know if they were in the car, but well, the third person could definitely be an unborn baby. Yeah. We're just Well, that was definitely That was a huge possibility. And the reason I'm saying that with this card is because what bigger sacrifice would you have than an unborn child and the woman that you love? This is kind of a deep story. Um, I think um, I think we're gonna end this here. There's a lot more to this whole Kennedy curse than I realized. I didn't really think it was a real thing until just right then. I think there probably was something that there's a multi-generational curse. Maybe we'll look into that as a whole, and that will take a while to break down, but I'm willing to do it if you guys want to hear it. So, we're just gonna stop for today, and you guys tell me what you think down in the comments below. Are you familiar with this case? Do you know anything about it? Do you think that Ted Kennedy accidentally killed this girl? Do you think it was an accident? Do you think he killed her on purpose? I mean, the fact that there was neglect in here, yes, he was responsible for her death, meaning neglectful. He didn't call authorities. They didn't get people, diving and trying to help her out. There's definitely neglect, and because of his actions, yes, she died. But did he set out and intend to murder her? Or was this just something horrible that happened and a chain of events that followed were not the most intelligent things to do? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Before you go, I just want to do a quick shout out to Melissa Blue Delish for my beautiful, beautiful jewelry here. Again, I purchase all my jewelry, but she is my affiliate girl. So if you like her stuff, I will leave her link down in the description box. And if you use the code LisaTebrinke, which is moi, you will be able to get a percentage off of your cart. So I hope everybody is having a great day or night wherever you are in this world. Remember that every single day is a gift. Use your time wisely, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.